Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are listening to myself, Keisha D, who is the owner of Millennium Internet Radio, home of your favorite early 2000 throwbacks. And thank you all for listening. I'm glad that you all are listening today because we have independent runner Derrick McDowell. He's running for the Youngstown mayor, and he is with us today to talk about his plans and to talk about everything that he pretty much wants to inform you listeners and voters here in Mahoney County of what he will be doing or plan to do if he is elected as mayor. So, Derrick McDowell is a husband, father, community activist, a community leader, the owner of Youngstown Flea, and an entrepreneur, and so much more. So, Derrick, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for coming on to Millennium Internet Radio and to inform everybody of who you are and what you plan to do, and just to get more people to vote for you. So I definitely appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my first question is going to be for the people who don't know who you are. Who is Derrick McDowell?
Well, I'd like to say I'm a native son of the city of Youngstown. I was born here, Northside Hospital. I was raised a portion in Birmingham, Alabama, and my mom and dad actually were South High graduates for any warriors out there. But early in my life, my mom migrated to Birmingham, and so we were raised there a portion. She did leave her oldest son here in the city of Youngstown to be raised by my grandmother. But I grew up coming back to Youngstown in 1995 after that oldest brother of mine was unfortunately murdered here. I grew up on the south side on Laclede. I'm a graduate of Cheney High School. I attended YSU briefly before starting a family. Many folks might know me as the founder of the Youngstown Flea, which is a artisan market for makers. We own a former industrial steel mill space in the downtown of Youngstown where we support close to 100 small businesses and makers and doers and dreamers every single month for the last 9 years. And we're in our 10th season, so almost a decade of dedication to entrepreneurship and small business. So hopefully one of those things catches people's attention. They might also know me formerly working with the Downtown Youngstown Foundation Amphitheater as the Community Engagement and Inclusion Coordinator. They might know me from any of the marches that they've seen me in downtown, trying to keep the peace in our city between, protesters and law enforcement some years ago. The efforts to prevent realty towers from being demolished, the efforts to prevent First Energy from running high-tension power lines through our community. So some folks might also know me from my advocacy throughout the community, and I'm just hoping one of those things rings a bell maybe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that you do in the community as well. I'm born and raised here in Youngstown, and I've definitely heard your name a few times and seen you do a lot of things. So it's always good to see other community leaders and activists doing their part for the community and to help with the next generation of Youngstownians, as I call it.
well, my wife always jokes, and she says, "Honey, when people find out that your wife, they always want to know, what does he do?" And she said, "There's times I don't know what to tell them," and I just say, "Honey, just tell them I'm a lover of the city of Youngstown, and I believe that means that you'll find me throughout the city." In different capacities. You'll see me dressed differently oftentimes, you know what I mean? Because when I'm in the trenches of the community, I'm suited and booted is what they would say, with, maybe not the nicest clothes on because I just got out of a steel mill building that we own, and the moment calls for me to jump out here and do something, and you'll see me in moments where I'm dressed for a school board meeting to attend, or a council meeting, or some activist moment that requires you get out here and present yourself to this community. And so I've worn a bunch of different hats and professions. And personally as well, I wear a number of different hats as a husband, a father, and again, just in my private life, trying to be an entrepreneur and business owner myself. And so it is difficult to sort of peg me as one thing or another, but if you're going to peg me as something, it's a lover of the city of Youngstown that birthed me.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Derrick. And so my next question is, and I'm sorry if your listeners are listening, you are hearing some thunderstorm. The thunder going off in the background. It's definitely raining and thundering out here today. But
Yeah, I was trying to find a quieter place, but there's no place to escape it. So
no.
what listeners are going to have to realize, just like you and I, is that this is Northeast Ohio. This is Youngstown. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and enjoy it and answer these questions as best we can.
Oh yes, yes.
Because in 5 minutes, we know what they say about Ohio weather. Just wait 5 minutes and it'll be different.
Sunshine, about 70 degrees probably.
Yep. So my apologies if my background is a little distracting.
Oh no, you're good. I know I'm standing right by the window, so it's probably coming from my end, but I don't think people don't mind. We know what's going on. We like the thunderstorm, we like the rain over here, so that's always a good thing. So
It'll provide a soundtrack to our life for today.
exactly.
A little mood music, a little theme, what's going on. You won't even have to edit this down. The background noise, you don't have to put a song on it or none. It's just that calm thundering noise in the background.
Oh yes.
And the rain.
Oh, and so Derrick, what made you decide to work in the community as an activist, a community leader, businessman, entrepreneur? What got the start for you?
Well, if you fast forward beyond high school, beyond that little bit of college that I was able to get under my belt, I started a family and found myself needing to, get into more stable employment. And so I hit corporate America and began working for AT&T. I gave about almost 13 years of my life to that. Wonderful pay, health benefits, you're married, raising a family, all those things are super important. But I hit a point in my life, unfortunately, and I'm in my early 30s, and I unfortunately suffered a divorce. And you're going to work every day, head down, just grinding, and then you look up one moment and recognize that this is not where at least I thought that my life would be. I was not happy to be going through a divorce. You get married and it was till death do us part. But it was a moment of reflection, and I wasn't where I wanted to be personally. I wasn't where I wanted to be professionally. And so one day on the way to work, I had made some commitments to myself in a conversation I was having with myself on that car ride. And I said, I must get to know myself. I must get to know my children because of what they're about to go through in this divorce in a much greater way. I need to get to know myself and my children. But there was an additional component that I recognized, that in order to get to know myself in a much greater way, I would have to get to know the city that I was from, and that was Youngstown. And so I was searching for someone who understood what I had gone through in life. A brother who was murdered in the city of Youngstown when I was only 14 years old. I didn't understand the city of Youngstown and why that had happened. I didn't understand myself and where I was born and how I was raised and the other things that were important about this city. And so I began simple things, taking different paths to work and from work throughout the city of Youngstown to get to know different streets, see different parts of the neighborhood. And in the pursuit of knowing myself, I recognized one moment where the person who knew me best, who understood all of the hurts and all the pains and all the drama and all the traumas that I had experienced and all of the death that had occurred and all of the disappointments, I was searching for someone who understood me best. And I could only find one person truly that I believed could understand me in all of those conditions. And that person was personified in the city of Youngstown. Nothing I had been through it's paled in comparison to what the city of Youngstown that birthed me had gone through and was still going through. This city knew more death than I knew. It knew more pains than I knew. It's known more trauma than I've known. It could understand exactly what I had been through. There was no one else, I believed, at that time who could relate to what I was going through, except when you apply it to the city of Youngstown. And so it captured my heart in that moment. It was like discovering a long-lost twin in the city of Youngstown. And so I committed to making sure that neither one of us had to go through what we went through. I didn't want to go through the traumas anymore, and the drama and the hurt and the disappointment. And I certainly don't want who I love to have to go through that. And because of that deep deposit of love for the city of Youngstown, I began advocating on behalf of those folks who are still here, who I love, and who I would never want to see go through those things ever again. And so I've tried for all of that time to just give my best effort to, creating a better Youngstown.
Wow. Thank you, Derrick, for that, because, that was deep. That was deep there. Let that marinate a little bit, but, So I'm just going to jump right into the next question because it's still like the same kind of question here. Why did you decide to run for mayor of Youngstown and as an independent?
I'll be honest, I sat and asked myself that question over and over again. And you hear that I'm an independent candidate. That means I've not been a part of any party, and I'm presently not part of a party, and I don't have plans to be a part of any party, and I don't have a political background. And so, that independent mattered to me when it came to launching this bid for mayor of the city of Youngstown, because it was right in line with what I believe goes into why you run. And it's because I have heard the cry of this community for so long. And unfortunately, that cry is one that cannot be ignored any longer. I've made efforts as a private citizen, as a father, as a husband, as an entrepreneur and a business owner to address the cries that I've heard throughout our community. And I just found it to be very lacking and insufficient to be able to attain what we need to get through some of the longest, deepest challenges that we've had. And so I launched out and said that I must answer that cry in a different way. And to be able to do so meant that I needed to throw my name in the hat as an independent candidate for mayor of the city of Youngstown.
Awesome. Now, while some people will listen to this and they're going to be like, okay, what is your plan? What's your plan for the city of Youngstown? And how can it, because there's some people that listens and they're like, I just want to know if your plan is going to align with my life type deal. And that's usually how some people kind of vote for who the different candidates. So can you let the listeners know, like, what are your plans for Youngstown?
Absolutely, because that's the most important thing we need to understand is that there's got to be a plan, and it can't be this loose idea of a plan. It must be a strategic, community-wide initiative and effort. And if we think we're going to get anywhere without a real plan, we have lied to ourselves, and we've been lied to for long enough with the ideas of that we've got a plan. And so central to the campaign is what I like to call reclaiming our identity. And to explain that a little deeper means that Youngstown in my opinion, can't go where we all want it to go without first knowing who we are. And if you take a look at Youngstown's identity, we have had several of them. When it came to the mills, we were called Steel Town. That was 47 years ago, though. And we've been lamenting the loss of an industry in the steel mills. And we had our identity well wrapped around that industry. And we have not figured our way out of that loss completely. You transition from the identity of Steel Town into Mob Town as part of our identity. And we watched the devastation that came along with organized crime in our communities, the bribery, the racketeering, the bombings, the death, the just corruption that comes along with it. And so that became a part of our identity. And you've also seen Murder Town be a part of our identity. Often you'll hear folks call us something to the tune of Little Chicago. And those are just parts of our identity that unfortunately can no longer be associated with Youngstown if we want to move forward. That's why it's called reclaiming our identity, because the healthy parts of who we are right before us. Reclaiming our identity as entrepreneurs will show us how we arrived at the steel mills and will lead us into this new generation of people who are here, who are making efforts to lift us out of poverty using small business and entrepreneurship. Reclaiming our identity as athletes, because sports tourism is a billion-dollar industry these days. We have always been athletes in our community. Friday night lights, watching football, Youngstown State University's basketball team, almost made it into the, March Madness frenzy this year. You have boxers that have been world champions coming from the city of Youngstown. We have D1 collegiate athletes. We have folks here who are known for their athletic prowess. And we have not tapped into that part of our identity properly to leverage it to create industry that can lead us and encourage us and guide us. Reclaiming our identity around our arts and entertainment. Those are things, when you look at the Playhouse, when you look at Dior, when you look at Ballet Western Reserve, when you look at Oh Wow, when you look at the Dana School of Music, when you look at the Butler Museum, when you look at McDonough, when you look at all of the amenities that we have, the Cavelli Center, the amphitheater, Kool and the Gang being from here, Howard Howell, jazz in the park. We have always had an identity rooted in arts and entertainment. And if we want to talk about changing the narrative of the city of Youngstown and forging a future, we have to begin with reclaiming our identity rooted in those things. And from there, we will begin to address the quality of life of our community. We'll begin to lift people out of poverty. We will begin to give them an identity rooted in the things that we have become most known for, our creativity. And then we can start talking about reducing crime and violence, because in the city of Youngstown, people like us who are known for our athletic prowess have a hope and a dream. People like us who are world renowned for our arts and entertainment. People like us who are endeavoring to be small business owners and entrepreneurs. We behave in such a way that there's hope to be found. We endeavor in such a way that gives our future the foundation that it needs to thrive. That is how we change the narrative. That is how we take back and tell our own story and stop allowing people to attach things to the Youngstown name that no longer can coexist with it.
Wow. And The next question that I have here is, I like your plan. I do. And I like what you were saying, because I was like, is it takes something first in order for us to get to the core. Um, but we do know that once there's a plan, there's always going to be some type of pushback. There's going to be somebody that's going to be fighting you toe to toe, saying like, nope, nope, nope. But you're like, this is what you want to do. So, how do you plan to make this happen, even with somebody trying to have some pushback uh, towards you or what your plan is?
Sure, absolutely. Wonderful question. There's this quote that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And if I'm successful in becoming Youngstown's next mayor, it has to be done by consensus. These plans require us all to get involved. And so that means opening up City Hall and communicating directly with the people here. The residents of the city of Youngstown are the ones who need communicated with, because none of my plans should be my plans alone. They should be our plan. And with our plan, we fight for it together. We rise and we fall. Kendrick Lamar says he wants the credit whether he's winning or he's losing. And so as a community, we want to win together. No one likes to lose, but of course we're going to take some losses. But if we take them together, they say many hands make light work. And so, of course, there are going to be naysayers. There already are naysayers that exist right now. Go to any media outlet that reports a story on the city of Youngstown and look at the comments and what people have to say about the city of Youngstown already. That negativity comes out. So fooling ourselves to thinking that we don't have naysayers already, we have to come to terms with that. What we need is a larger consensus of folks on board. Enrollment begets enrollment. When we begin to open up City Hall and directly communicate with our residents, encourage and empower their voices to be who helps us create these plans, that is how we get the success that we're looking for. We need education, not only for our scholars who are enrolled in our Youngstown City schools. We need education for our entire community to understand where we're going and the process by which we get there, and that their voice matters. Getting them involved, moving them from apathy to engagement. That's how you get the plans to where they are. Now, there's still going to be some folks who aren't on board. That's why you and I know there's a term called show and prove. You've got to show folks and prove to them that this is where we're headed, and this is why we're headed there. And it is a well and noble cause to join in that fight. We've got to show people how they can get enrolled, how they can become a part of building a better table, and then sitting at it and helping us guide the future of our city of Youngstown. So, no, it's not easy, but you're going to have to learn that if we want to go fast, let Derrick go alone. But if we want to go far, then we'll join in with his efforts to bring about reclaiming our identity, opening up City Hall, directly communicating, encouraging and empowering residents' voices, championing small business and education, lifting us out of our poverty conditions, and improving our quality of life, giving our residents a value and a worth and a significance so that we can see one another as humans endeavoring for a better future together. That's how we do it.
Oh, Derrick, I'm like right here with you now. I'm like this.
See what I mean?
Yes.
You know, in our short conversation, we can see how, man, if the charter of the city of Youngstown clearly states that the mayor is the CEO of the city. That's business language. And so what's a mayor in the business of? A mayor is in the business of running a municipality on behalf of residents who are looking to our leader for safety, a quality of life, a future, and a hope. And if that leader attempts to do it alone, without the help of those residents, then we're going to fail from the beginning. But if I can show you how to enroll yourself in your portion of the work and give you an opportunity to shine like I know we can, because we already have been doing so, that's how we get it done.
Love it, love it. Um, so my next question is pretty much, I've been hearing this, and I know you heard it over so many years, and also through different elections that happen. This could be the presidential to local to national. A lot of people always are upset um, about the candidates saying one thing while they're running, and then once they get into office, it seems like things have made a whole 360. So, how would you address those voters who are currently like, I don't want to vote because they don't, they say this and then they change up? And how do you plan on keeping your promise just so that those people can say, okay, now this Derrick McDowell is actually following through by what he's saying, and now I'm encouraged to vote again in another 4 years or so?
I think one of the things I encourage voters to do is to look at each candidate and see what they've done so far. And if you look at what I've done so far for this community, you can say that Derrick is one who keeps his word. Derrick is a man that has told us time and time again that he loves the city of Youngstown, and he has shown us that love in as many capacities as he can find, whether it's the neighborhood cleanups, the block watch meetings that he goes to, whether he's engaging with folks who are in our housing projects to show them that they have a voice, even if they feel like they're the lowliest of the lowly, if they feel othered by class or conditioned, that I'm knocking on their door during this campaign, coming straight to their neighborhoods that they tell me that no politician has ever come to before. And I'm telling them, even if they're not a registered voter, that they still matter and that they need to get involved. Showing them why it's important to add their perspective and their vote to the bottom line outcome of our communities, and getting engaged well beyond that too. It's not just, I'm here to get your vote today and gone tomorrow. It is, you will see Derrick McDowell in your community again, because this is not the first time you've seen him in your community. And now he's showing up asking us to get involved in the political process. This is an additional time you've now seen me in your community, and this is not the last time you will see me in your community. So I believe for any candidate, if you're going to profess that I'm here to do this and that, it is easy to now track what you have done and match it up against what you're saying you want to do. And I would believe and hope that my track record of getting things done in this community would show folks that he has a love for this city first and foremost, and that he is one that knows how to execute on things. He delivers us the Youngstown Fleet, a market supporting up to 100 small businesses every month for the last almost 10 years. Someone who has fought to see us gain access to facilities like the amphitheater and Wing Park. Someone who joins us, someone who leads us in marches, who speaks on our behalf when we're not at those meetings that the city is hosting, someone who has advocated for what's right, what's fair, what's just in our community. And that's how you'll know. Of course, there have been politicians who've made promise after promise after promise, and that's where their apathy has come in because of that. Their lack of appetite to get engaged with the political process, and not just the political process, but even engaged in community work. They're exhausted, and so they need someone who not only brings them hope, but also brings them real help. And that's what I'm here trying to do.
Well, I hear it in your voice, and I've already heard of you, known of you, met you a few times out here in the community, and so I already know what you do. So I'm hoping that all you listeners and all you voters here in Mahoney County are listening to the passion that is in his voice. I know majority of you all probably have seen him out. I actually talked to my friend yesterday. She was like, "Oh, I met him at the parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade." So that was where she got a chance to meet you really fast. But yeah, so I'm hearing the passion. I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity to ask you these questions and for you to, let me know more of your plan and just what you want to do with the city and why you're running for mayor. So I appreciate you doing this. But before I let you go, this is where I pretty much pass the mic to you, and you get a chance just to talk about anything that you want to talk about. Just let the listeners know of anything that's coming up for you, any events or any meet and greets, where they could find you, what's your website, if somebody wanted to talk to you one on one, like how can people reach out to you, what's coming up next, and whatever else you want to speak about, this is your time to shine.
I just want to begin by thanking you for allowing me the opportunity to share, that's important that we, again, go back and educate our community, and here is a means to be able to do so, a media outlet, a speaking opportunity that allows us to talk directly with listeners about what's happening in the beautiful city of Youngstown. So I'm thankful to you for that. What I would want to share right now is that we've got to truly understand that this is a critical moment for the city of Youngstown. We have someone asking, where is this city headed? And the only way to answer that is to think about who leads it. And this November 4th, 2025, we will either have the same mayor that we presently have, or we will boldly and decisively elect a new one. And that decision is critical for the direction that we're headed in. Because if we continue to spout off the definition of insanity, then that means that we're going to continue to elect the same person and expect different results. And I don't know that that's going to change if we give the same person another 4 years. They've had 8. And so I'm challenging folks to get themselves involved in the process. You can go to McDowellformayor.com, and there's a tab that says vote. If you're not registered to vote, I'm challenging people that this November is a critical moment and it needs everyone involved. I'm also challenging folks to educate themselves around the process, because many folks don't know that, yes, there's a May primary because of 2 Democratic challengers, but that is not the end. We then move on to a November general election. That's that November 4th date. There's a lot of confusion in our community around the political process, partly, again, because of apathy, exhaustion, folks who are not engaged, who just aren't aware, who haven't kept up with how things work in today's world. And so we just need folks to really, really, really get engaged in that way. But I want to tell people as they're listening that this, for me, is not some newfound political aspiration. This is purposeful assignment for me. This is Derrick McDowell saying that I want to be the one you hold accountable. I want to be the one who listens, who honors you with listening ears. I want to be the person you can turn to and say, he will not ignore us. That he has heard our cry. He has not only existed, but experienced in those same conditions that you've gone through and are still going through. And so he understands. It's a lived experience for me. It's not just something I'm out here saying that I want to help fix and have not experienced myself. I've experienced the same frustrations. I've experienced the same hopelessness at times, the despair, the divisiveness. And so I'm asking folks to just really consider who our candidates are, what they stand for, investigate, spend time going to that McDowellformayor.com website, dig deeper, and when you choose to support, choose to follow him all the way through, not only till November 4th, making sure that we're able to get him in that seat, but following him all the way through to the difficult work that it's going to take to begin first with reclaiming our identity as entrepreneurs, as arts and entertainers, as athletes, as industry begins to return here because of those things. But follow him all the way through to the work that's necessary to make sure that Youngstown is world renowned, a city on a hill, a beacon of hope, a beautiful place. That's what I want folks to do. And so upcoming events, you'll see me door knocking in your neighborhoods. I'm trying to get to as many folks as I can. We are doing coffee shop meetups. We've done one on each side of town so far. We're doing events, like you said, the St. Patrick's Day parades. Be on the lookout for those kinds of events and come over and engage with us and learn more. We're going to be doing fundraisers to make sure that we're fiscally responsible with any donations, but that we're getting the word out and letting people know how they can join in the work of reclaiming our identity and changing and resetting a course for our community. And so I'm just, again, thankful that I've had this opportunity to share. And I look forward to what November 4th brings and beyond for our city.
Yes, and thank you so much again, Derrick. This is awesome. Once again, this is Derrick McDowell, native of Youngstown, Ohio, and he is running independent for Youngstown mayor. So definitely, if you need to hear this over again, this will be on YouTube, and I'll make sure I share the link with you as well, Derrick, so that you can share it with your family and friends and supporters. But this will definitely be on our social media site, website, and everything, so that you all, if you're just tuning in, you're just like, oh, what's going on, you get a chance to re-listen over and over. And just want to let y'all listeners know, any residents, voters of Mahoney County, if you are not sure if you are registered to vote, or if you still need a few things to register yourself to vote, make sure that you visit. I was about to say check out, but visit vote.mahoneycountyoh.gov. That's the Board of Elections, Mahoney County's office. You can also go down to visit them and check that information out. Those people down there will definitely inform you and get you registered so that you can be available for the May 6th primary/special election, and then also be ready for the November 4th election, where we are going to be voting for our next mayor. So definitely get out there in the community, get yourself registered to vote. Encourage other people to get registered to vote. Like Derrick said, this is very crucial. This is the mayor of the city of Youngstown that is up for to have a new leader. So once again, thank you, Derrick, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And listeners, thank you all for listening. So now we're going to go ahead and jump right back into those early 2000 throwbacks that you all love so much, right here on Millennium Internet Radio.